Here we go. There we go. Oh, the internet's saying, yeah. The internet's saying, yeah, you're doing it again. Let's just make sure we're up. Oh, yes, we are up. We are up. What's up, everybody? Good morning if you're in my time zone. Good afternoon if you're in a different time zone. Good evening if you're in yet another time zone. Good future if you're in Australia or somewhere like that. It's the future. Do we make it another day? How are we doing? I hope you are staying safe. I hope you're staying well. And I hope that all of your dreams have come true, every single one of them. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. First of all, a shout out to everyone that makes this show possible. Our friends at ZT.com, ZHITEA.com. Their tea kind of rules. You can get their tea wholesale amidst this pandemic. They make some of my favorite teas run by a friend of the show. So please show them some love. ZT.com, ZHITEA.com. Check it out. And our friend over at Trendy is Dabbers, which has changed their name to TreeEdgeOil.com. That's TreeEdgeOil.com. You can get topical pain oil that you rub on your joints and it feels better. They send me some pain oil. It helps my neck a bunch, and that is TRIAGE oil.com. Check them out over on the web. And Ron, maybe you're thinking, Ron, do you have any oil that I can digest? Yes, I do. Go to rarenaturalscbd.com. That's Rare Naturals with an S, CBD.com. You get some oil that you can put in your drink. You can put it under your tongue. You can even take it rectally if you want. No one is judging you. Take it however you want. A couple drops after a nice workout. A couple drops just whenever you want to relax. And it's very soothing, very relaxing, very effective. And if you go to their website, which again is rarenaturalcbd.com, you can use the promo code Lucy at checkout. That's LUCY, Lucy at checkout, and you get 30% off. Boom. How cool is that? Again, that's rarenaturalscbd.com. Do not forget to use the promo code Lucy at checkout. And last but certainly not least, the Civvy app, CIVVY app.com. It's an app that compartmentalizes civic information for you. You kind of just, you answer a bunch of questions, and it tells you, it gives you news stories that are really pertinent to you. It tells you how you rank in comparison to elected officials. Turns out I'm not very compatible with anyone. I filled out the questionnaire. I'm like not compatible with anybody, which, oh, well, what are you going to do? But Civvy app, and they also want to be a hub for independent news and media. So if you go to their independent news section, you'll see segments broken up by topic by content creators you know and love, including yours truly. You'll see some Get Your News On with Ron stuff there. So again, that is the Civvy app, civvyapp.com. Check that out. Without further ado, I have a guest today, and I'm really excited to speak with her. She's been on the show before, and her primary was 2 nights ago. Time flies. It was 2 nights ago. And so we're going to chat about what went down, and we're going to get some feedback from her. Please welcome back to the show. She ran for New York's 12th district, Lauren Ashcraft. Lauren, what's up?
I'm really happy to be back. Also, before both of my debates, I took CBD, and I just wanted to say my debates were brought to you by CBD. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Yes. Connections. I love it.
Yeah. It's great to be back. I am catching up. I feel like I got hit by a herd of elephants, so I've been playing.
I can only imagine.
Animal Crossing has been my therapy, so I'm just coming back to life now.
Well, you got, I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, you know, I know people that have run for office, friends of mine that have run for office and colleagues. And yeah, I think you definitely need to just unplug for a little bit. I mean, honestly, I was pleasantly surprised you said yes, because I kind of I was half expecting like you guys were going to be like, she's unplugging for a little bit. Like, understandable, but I'm glad you want to.
Well, I don't say no to you.
I appreciate it. So you were not victorious, but you ran a hell of a campaign, and so I want to start with like a cliche, but I really want to get your take on this. What would you say was your first favorite part of running for office, and then least favorite part of running for office? And you can answer it in whichever order you want, but I'm curious your take on that.
Yeah, so my favorite part is actually kind of, I mean, we consider our whole campaign to be a win because we raised awareness about issues that no other candidate in the race did. Like, I spent a lot of my time in the public housing community next door. Literally got invited into somebody's home and we broadcasted the conditions that she was living in. And 2 hours later, NY-12 was finally fixing her apartment up. She's been asking them for 2 years for help. So
Nice.
Seeing real impacts that we as a team are making in the community still brings a lot of joy to my heart. And also, like, I'm not going anywhere, and I have plans to meet with people about a community garden that we're going to bring to the community. So I'm going to stay really active and keep fighting in every single way that I can. And these relationships that we've been building and friendships that I've made, I've also met people like you along the way. So I can't even put into words how amazing that is. And I think together we're quite a force to be reckoned with, this whole community that we've built. And, you know, not going anywhere. I think the results are pretty indicative. I was the leftist candidate in the race, and it's pretty cool that we took a big chunk of the vote against two multimillionaire I guess you can kind of call them both incumbents, but two multimillionaire candidates that have either this time or last cycle dropped hundreds of thousands of dollars of their own money into their race. So we were the little engine that could, and totally people powered. And I'm really, really proud of the work that we've done, and we're not stopping.
That's one of my favorite books as a kid.
Yeah, right.
You remember that one? Oh man, I've made my mom read that book to me like so many times. She could probably still recite it by heart.
Aww.
All these years. Yeah, that was like my favorite. That and what was the other one? It's not important, but Little Engine That Could was definitely one of my favorite books as a kid. Anyway.
Yeah, I felt like it. I really felt like our campaign was that. We made it over the hill. So, and then my least favorite part. I mean,
enough with the positivity. Least favorite.
Oh my gosh, I could go on for a long time, but the whole system's rigged. The whole system. I mean, I worked until March of this year because I have bills to pay and I don't have the luxury of not working for multiple months. I'm actually like gonna start looking for paid jobs today. So I don't really have that much time to get back in the swing of things because I'm a real person that has bills. And I saw, you know, it's a lot easier for people that are connected to personal wealth and wealthy networks. The whole system is set up to keep moving us in that direction, keep the wealthy people wealthy and powerful, and then keep the rest of us down. And every once in a while, some of us make it through. And I'm sure this is not the last time I'll run for anything, but definitely need to take a little bit of a breather first. But it's dirty. Two of the candidates in my race have thought up some pretty creative and wild lies about me that I got a lot of amusement out of, to be quite honest. And I'm sure.
Wait, what were a couple of them? Do you want to share?
Oh yeah, totally.
Right.
One of them is like, I think we talked about this before, but I actually worked as a project manager in JP Morgan, which is where I became a Democratic Socialist. And surprise to all my haters, I'm still not going to go back and help them. But I got a whole bunch of promotions from my trolls. Like somehow I even saw that it was related to Jamie Dimon, which is hilarious. And that I was like a VP or like senior executive. And I'm like, wow, you're giving this company a lot of credit for like promoting talent when they see it. No, I was a project manager. And I think all of the project managers that have watched my race would be very flattered to think that all of us had so much power in a huge corporation. Yeah, that was one of them. I also, what else? Someone said that I moved out of the district. recently I moved across the river, which runs right through the district because I couldn't afford my rent in Manhattan anymore. So it's just like,
But they tried to spin it like she moved into a high rise in Hoboken.
yeah.
He left us.
Yeah, it's like, hello, this is still the district. I'm just paying less rent than you. But yeah, just a lot of stuff, silly stuff. And I got one hit piece, but that wasn't a lie. That was awesome. So I actually, I wrote an email and the subject line was F the police. And we ended up in Fox News because of it. And that's one of the proudest moments of my campaign because we got an email from the journalist asking, like, what do you mean? Like, F the police. And I was like, you heard me.
Could you please expand on that?
Yeah, F the police. Yeah, and then we provided a big stance about how, people are protesting police brutality, and the result is police driving cars into crowds of protesters. So, yeah, F the police. I stand by it.
Yeah, I posted a thing where it was like, okay, is defund the police too harsh for you? Well, here, let's expand. Defund them, dismantle them, abolish them, and then reinvent what it means to have law enforcement in our life. How's that? How does that sit with you? Because that's what we need to frickin' do.
Yeah. I'm sorry about everyone's feelings that are hurt right now, but there's also like a lot of innocent people dying.
Yeah.
Getting murdered. So
yeah, that sort of takes a front seat right now. And when you look at this system that was just put in place in the first place to make the ruling class feel a little bit better, it's time to kind of gut it and come up with a new way of doing things. I'm not saying we should have total chaos, that we shouldn't have any law and order. I don't feel that way. But it's time to reinvent what it means to have law and order in our life. And you know what? I'm not exactly sure what we'll come up with, but it would take effort, true effort, to come up with something shittier than what we have now. Like, we'd really have to try. Like, it wouldn't, like, you and I couldn't even do it alone. We need to get like some other people. Yeah. And have to be like, how can we come up with something shittier than what we have now when it comes to law and order of a society? How can we come up with something shittier than years of institutionalized racism, killing without any repercussion whatsoever? How can we come up with something even worse? Of course, we wouldn't be trying to come up with something worse, but it's like we're going to come up with something better.
Yes, exactly. I feel like we're very much on the same page here. And yeah, whenever you think about just how bad things are, that we have a military industrial complex too. And my opponent always voted to increase the military budget, and that,
like a true patriot.
Yes. And she also voted for the surplus military equipment to flow to the police. And I'm just like,
that never goes south.
How many steps along the way can you fail your constituents? That's exactly why we're in the situation we're in, is because for decades and decades, our leaders have been failing.
So let's get back to, you're talking about how it's rigged. So why is that? From your experience? I mean, I know there's a million different ways to answer that question, but specifically in your experience, what were some moments where you're just like, this is just absolutely ridiculous?
Yeah. Well, I really haven't thought about how to phrase this yet, but it's been bothering me for quite some time. Is there are all these Democratic clubs all over the district, and it's part of the process that you go to all of their forums and you present your case, and they endorse one of the people running. It could be the incumbent, it could be challengers, who knows. But almost every single time they endorse the incumbent. And you also see that the incumbent donates to that club, donates thousands of dollars that you personally don't have and your grassroots campaign doesn't have. So it's just this cycle of power. And you also see like the same 40 people at all of these different clubs around the same city. And the thing is, like, for a grassroots challenger, spending dozens of evenings at these forums is a huge chunk of your time that you could otherwise be knocking on doors, but you're sitting there in a forum that you know you'll probably lose, and you're presenting your case into this, like, in front of the same people over and over that already voted for the incumbent like 12 times.
So it's just a facade.
Yeah, there's a lot of facade. And I think the most disappointing, like, you pretty much know you're going to lose and you're wasting your time in a lot of these situations. But the most disappointing is when you see like younger grassroots organizations also supporting an incumbent that has a terrible record that goes against everything they represent.
How often did that happen in your experience?
Maybe a handful of times, or like something similar as that young organizations that exist like purely to support progressive grassroots candidates, just like didn't want to get involved in our race because it was messy. Because there was another millionaire person running, and we have a well-funded incumbent that's backed by corporate PACs and like all the Democratic clubs. So you're up against like not just a mountain, but it's like a mountain with tanks and a moat and crocodiles and like grenade launchers pointed at you. And like you're really trying to survive and grow your team and fundraise, but you have all these huge wastes of your time that if you don't participate in them, you're definitely going to get called out. So I'm not sure my team ever quite figured out if we should have just been like, yeah, sorry, no, we're busy. Which, like, in the end, maybe we should have. I think if
that's a hard judgment call to make. And how do you know, and I've never been on that side of the fence. I've never run for office. The only campaigns I've ever been involved with have been like cause-based campaigns, like a campaign for net neutrality and stuff like that. So I don't really have any point of reference there. But, well, what specific experiences did you have with the Democratic Party, just locally and then at large?
Not too much. I mean, we had to purchase Van from them, which is like our canvassing software that we use to knock doors and track who we reached out to. It's really expensive. I think we had to pay $7,500 to the state's Democratic Party, which is also terrible for a grassroots campaign. But otherwise, like, we didn't really have to interact too much. We got voter data. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, I kind of feel like it's one of those things. I mean, I'm at the point now. I think we need an entirely new political vehicle. I just think that the Democratic Party, and I salute people that are trying to break in, and I support people trying to break in. But, you know, there's that other part of me that's like, oh, but why can't we just have a new political vehicle for everyone? Because I feel like you're just running into a burning building, and you're, you know, trying to enter a club that just hates you.
Yeah.
Like they hate you. Like they don't, what their first priority is beating you. And we saw a lot of that go on. And some people make it through regardless, which is inspiring and is optimistic. But it's like, if we had a new political vehicle that was a viable alternative, you know, all the same corruption would still happen. I'm not saying we'd have like instant election integrity, but it would just be more of the Republicans pulling their shenanigans against both the Democrat and the actual progressive. So it would just slowly wipe out the corporate Democrats. That's what I think would happen. Like, what do you like from your perspective? Is that something you would consider, A, in the future, and B, do you think that's like possible?
I hope that it's possible. I know, like, my goal has been to infiltrate and change from within, which obviously is very difficult. And I don't like the direction of the party at all. Like, it's very upsetting to me. Obviously, I feel like I have to vote for him. That's everyone's personal choice, and totally understand if you disagree. But I have to vote for Joe Biden, who is probably the weakest candidate we've ever had running for president, and has some really valid accusations of sexual assault against him, and voted for the crime bill in the Iraq War. And I'm just wondering.
Well, he was one of the architects too. I mean, he did more than just vote for it.
Yes, exactly. But I'm just wondering, like, at what point can we say, if you have a record of killing so many people, maybe you're just not fit to serve us anymore. I personally don't think that anyone who voted for the Iraq War should still be sitting in Congress or in the Senate. And the crime bill, I mean, look what's happening today. That set the precedent for how communities of color are treated in our society. So it's not great. I'm not happy at all about the direction of our party. And I personally have just gotten out of a race that shows like money matters, personal wealth matters, connections to wealth matter. And the way that we fight that is through pushing through things like public financing of elections, which is a really wonderful incentive for grassroots campaigns to raise small dollars like we did. I mean, we had over 6 figures of donations. Our average donation was $24. So it was really, really hard work, and we did it. And we paid all of our bills, and we paid our staff, and we're really proud of it. But when you're up against somebody who accepted $700,000 from corporations, like, it's really hard. And that's why it matters that organizations like Brand New Congress are brave enough to get involved and back candidates like myself, because every supporter, every dialer, every volunteer is one piece of a huge puzzle about how to oust a terrible incumbent.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand all those concerns completely, and you know, like addressing some of the stuff you said. You know, I personally, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden. I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. Obviously, yeah. I'm not going to vote for either one of them. But you know, I made the decision a long time ago. You know, and I've tweeted about this. I'm like, look, here's what's going to happen this election season. There's going to be like-minded people that are going to make different judgment calls. And some of them are going to hold their nose and vote for Biden. Some of them aren't. And we got one of each right now. And, you know, I mean, we can discuss why we're each making the decisions we're making, and that's fine. But to me, it's like, you know, I'm not going to voter shame anybody either way, because that's just not constructive. It's like your anger should be at the system that gave us these repulsive choices, not the voters who are having to deal with it. So, you know, I mean, and I've gotten emails where people are like, should I vote for Biden? I'm like, you got to do you. You know, you got to factor in. I'm not here to tell you you do or you don't have to. Like that's not, I don't do that on this show. I know other shows that do that stuff. I don't do that. To be honest, don't spend a lot of time on electoral politics at all these days, because it's one of the things I'm least optimistic about. But there's little glimpses of hope, and a lot of the stuff that happened in New York was among those glimpses of hope. And honestly, I mean, here, take a look at this. This is breaking right now. You know, we got a little bit of optimism going on in Kentucky, and this is changing in real time. I don't know if we're going to get the final verdict today or not. You think we're still going to wait, or do you think we're going to get it?
What was that, Paul? Do you know? It was like 75% reported so far.
And he's still up.
Yeah. I mean, probably within the next few days. I'm 100% Team Booker. Really? The 30th? Okay. I guess they're
probably not going to know till the 30th.
Yeah. But Charles,
guys, you heard it here first from Paul. We got off mic Paul. He's my go-to guy. Here we go. This is Get Your News On with Ron. My co-host is a black cat who's asleep on the couch, and my fact checker is Paul. Paul's hired.
Paul's my partner and just happens to have like a very encyclopedic knowledge of all these elections going on.
That's helpful. Did he vote for you?
Oh yes,
Let's see.
I actually I actually looked at his ballot. We went in person, and I was very proud to see that he voted for me and Bernie Sanders. So
So, did it feel weird voting for yourself?
you know what's so weird about this whole experience is I feel like a lot of it I was pretty numb. I think
Really?
I like saw my name on the piece of paper and like filled in the circle and I was like, okay. And I like handed it to the person. And then after I left, I was like, I feel like I should be really excited about this. But I think a lot of that was like, as a grassroots progressive, you're in survival mode the whole time. So it's just like, okay, fill in the circle, leave, keep going, have to fundraise. And like I part of waking up the last 2 days, I'm like, oh, I don't have to ask anyone for money today. It's such a beautiful thing.
What were you getting? And then I want to get back to Kentucky for a little bit, but there's just so many questions. Like, how much sleep were you getting on average throughout this whole thing?
Um, I mean, at least the last few weeks, it couldn't have been more than a few hours per night.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it was, I really do like, I wake up in kind of like physical pain because I'm just like, I know it's time to wake up, but I physically can't. So I know this morning I laid there for a little bit and I was like, must sit up.
Oh, yikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm one of these people, like, I don't like sleep that much.
Mhm.
But you know what I mean? Like I'm just, I mean, I do it because I have to,
Yeah.
but I'm not a fan of it. Like I'm like, as little as I need to get by, that's all I want. I don't want more. But on the same note, I don't really want less because then it's going to like affect my day. And I feel
Totally.
like a solid 5 to 6 spot. That's what I need. If I get more than that, that's okay. But if I get too much, then I'm like really fucked up. Like if I get like over 8,
Yeah.
I feel groggy and I'm like, but like, so are we talking like 3 to 4 or like, what are we talking? No. Okay. See
Yeah. Like the final
that's not
week.
enough.
No, it was terrible. And I'm like just starting to catch up. So, just sleep, some good food, and Animal Crossing is what I'm prescribing myself and my therapist.
There you go. No, that sounds like a good unwind. But so the thing about Booker, getting back to the race that's going on in Kentucky, it was so apparent. And of course, I hope he wins this thing big time. But they did everything in their power to make sure he couldn't win. And when we covered this on the show yesterday, you see that video footage of
Yeah.
those droves of people banging on the door to say we want to vote, and him pleading with the judge, who I think they extended it like 30 minutes, to let these people vote. And you kind of ask yourself, well, what if, and where did they do that? They did that in the urban centers. They
Yeah.
did that in the cities. They did that in the black neighborhoods. They did that in the place where they're like, hopefully these are the people turning up for this guy. Let's try to stifle them. Let's stifle the people in Louisville and Lexington, the people that are going to come out for Charles Booker. They did everything they could. And had he not been sounding the siren as loud as he could, and had those people not physically banged on the doors,
Yeah.
I don't think we'd be this far.
No.
I don't think we'd be this far. I think he would have likely lost already. And things are looking good right now. Knock on wood, things are looking good. We don't know the finals yet. And according to our source on the ground, Paul, he's saying the 30th. And but this is not a democracy.
No. It's very far from a democracy. And I think, man, I'm sure glad people got out to vote for him because it matters a lot. I know in our race, people were requesting absentee ballots, and even election day, we were being told that they never received them. And these are people that have disabilities or immune system issues, and they couldn't go to the polls, which is flat out voter suppression. So there's a lot that prevents progress, but The thing is, if all of the people who are angry about it do everything they can to have their voice heard, we all together are unstoppable. And like, I know I'm an idealist and I just went through a pretty dirty and terrible race, but at the end of the day, I still believe in our ability to change things. And that happens when we come together and we're fighting police brutality by the millions, and we've already gotten some legislation passed. We're far from being done, but we're scaring the establishment that was ignoring all of this for so long. And that's how it happens, is people on the street and people going to the polls.
Well, and I see that's where my optimism lies too. And it's more on that people on the streets part.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we just talked about nothing but electoral politics and election integrity, somebody would be like, man, that Ron guy is a freaking cynic. Jesus. But if we talked about protests and movements and the new generation, and like then it's like, oh, this guy's an optimist. So I'd like to think I have a balance. I don't know, maybe. I mean, it depends on who you talk to. It depends on who you ask, and it depends on if I got enough sleep. But
I get it.
but I feel like most of my optimism lies outside of electoral politics and in the ability of mass movements. I mean, you look at the concessions that we've already gotten, which, yeah, as you said, and I agree with you completely, we have a long, long, long way to go. But to try to just be realistic here, we've gotten more concessions as a result of these protests than we've gotten in decades of pleading with our political machine.
Yes.
I mean, people have been pleading since, at least since Rodney King, going further back than that. Nothing has happened. Finally, some things are starting to happen. We're a long, long way, but some things are starting to happen. And it's because people showed up and they're like, we're fed up. We're not taking it anymore. I think I was talking to a friend about this yesterday. What I would love to see happen is I would love to see all of this energy, with Black Lives Matter, with people out protesting in the streets. I'd love to see it pivot into a general strike.
Yeah.
And those connections being made. And we're just like, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. We're not continuing your fucking train anymore. We're done.
Yes.
This pandemic has showed us who the essential workers are. So much so that we call them essential workers. Yes. That's what we call them. Well, guess what? It's time to say, we ain't doing this anymore. We ain't doing this anymore. And then it's... Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. You're back.
Sorry, everything froze for a second.
You're just like, all right, I've had enough of this. I get it. I get it. You want a general strike. You're a fan. I tell people I'm a general strike stan. I really am. I really am. Any criticisms of general strike, I'm like, no, I don't think so. And that's actually my official 2020 endorsement. General strike and rent strike is my VP pick. That's who I'm really going for. I'm like, a general strike, rent strike. I'm just gonna write it in everywhere.
Truly, I think those would be better options than we have.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I'm probably I'm gonna vote for either the Green or the Socialist, depending on what happens. And I'm undecided because I don't know who exactly is going to get the nod from the Greens yet. And then, the Socialist candidate is Gloria La Riva, who I like her, but that's only going to be on the ballot in so many states. So it's like one of those things. Well, if the Greens could get to 5% and qualify for federal funding, that's a good thing for the future. Whereas this party may not be able to. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do when I'm in that booth. But I know I'm not. I think that. Do you think Biden's going to win?
I know. I mean, I don't trust the polls because look what happened last time. But apparently he's up by 10 points, whatever that means. But talk about like failing up. To be quite honest, like he hasn't really done anything in his run for president. We're in the middle of so many different crises. Like, if you're seeing people die every day during the worst pandemic of our lifetime, why the expletive aren't you?
You're allowed to cuss here, by the way.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
Oh, yeah. This isn't a radio show. You can cuss all you want.
Okay, good. Why the fuck aren't you pushing for Medicare for all? Why? You also, like, think about all the leftists that would be like, you know what? I hate everything else you do, but if you got my family health insurance, you got my vote, man. He's ignoring it. Why?
He's giving no concessions. I mean, what little quote unquote, which isn't it interesting that we have to ask for these concessions from someone who's supposed to be the alternative to what we have? Like it's so, I mean, it's so mind-blowing that we have this duopoly where you have a fringe neo-fascist party and the alternative is a right-wing party. I mean, the Democrats are a right-wing party. Yeah. I wouldn't even, some people call them center-right. I would say by the world standard, that is inaccurate. No, they are a right-wing party.
I lived in Germany and Sweden, and like...
Are you trying to get back?
I have a lot of stuff to still fight for here, but I think about how, like, I've sat down with my host family and everything, and they're like, yeah, your Democratic Party is like our conservative party. And that's really stuck with me because they take for granted that they can just go to the doctor. Literally, I know someone in Finland who got brain surgery and was like, they were like, you know what's so cool is I don't have to worry about a single bill. Can you imagine, like, even with my insurance, I would end up with thousands of dollars in copay and like deductible and everything kind of bills afterwards. You don't even know what you're going to end up with. It trickles in your mailbox for like months to come.
Well, did you see Sicko, the Michael Moore movie?
You know what? I don't think I have.
So maybe there's a scene, huh?
Is it like a few years old? Like,
yeah, it's been around for a minute, and that actually sounds about right. I want to say it's probably about 10 years old.
Yeah, I think I saw it in college then.
So he, like, there's this scene in that where, and they're just talking about the notion of healthcare, and the guy's like, yeah, you know, of course everybody needs to have healthcare, and you know, it's doing a single payer model is just the most efficient way to do it because, you know, no one's denied care if they can't afford to pay, and everyone just kind of looks out for everyone else, and that actually keeps costs low for everybody, and everyone's healthy, and that's important in a society. And then Michael Moore goes, so you're like a big left-wing guy. And the guy kind of looks at him like, what? Like what does that have to do with anything? And the guy goes, actually, I'd consider it a conservative here. I'm conservative here. And Michael Moore like got the response he wanted. Like he wanted that guy to be like, how the hell are those connected? Like it's not, I'm not going to say it's not a political issue at all because they definitely have like micro debates about healthcare in Canada, in England, in Australia. Like, I'm not going to say that doesn't exist at all. It does. But compared to us, like they're at least on board that, yeah, everyone should have it regardless of their ability to pay. You cover everybody. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We're not even that far. So how can you say when you have a party that's not even sold on that idea that isn't a right-wing party? It's a right-wing party.
It's true. It's true. And what is this? What's this public option? Like you want us to, in what world would I ever choose my shitty private health insurance that I had to fight for 4 months to get birth control so my hair doesn't fall out? Like, in what world am I going to be like, I think I'll stick with United Healthcare?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe depending on how it was pitched to you, like, hey, Lauren, here's this thing that's kind of shitty, but here's the kicker: you get to pay for it up to 3 times, and more than it's like you pay a lot too. Or here's a better thing, and you just pay once. What do you think? I mean, would you have to think about it, or would you just be like, no brainer? I'm going with option B here.
Honestly, I I would never, if I ever had a choice, I would never choose United Healthcare or any private health insurance, because the bottom line is they exist to make a profit. So that means for us that every opportunity they have, they're trying to make sure that the care you receive shrinks so that their profit grows. That's how they remain in business. And that's what the bottom line of running a for-profit company is. So that has no business being anywhere near me getting my medicine.
So, what's your take on getting to New York at large? Like, how'd you feel overall about the results? Were you optimistic? I mean, I know that there were some progressive wins. There were some reasons for optimism.
Yeah.
Elliot Engel is no more.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think I'm really happy about Jamal, and very proud to have him as a slate mate for Brand New Congress, and he's provided me a lot of guidance and advice. He's on my speed dial for when I encountered something really weird. And he's great. I'm so
What did he tell you when you encountered weird stuff?
Oh, he's always open to give advice. Like, he had an amazing support system from the beginning, so he knew a lot more about some of the bumps in the road that I would encounter before I did. And anytime that I reached out, he just was very willing to give any knowledge that he had. And that is why these networks and slates and groups of endorsed people, that's why these organizations like Brand New Congress and Justice Democrats and DSA, like all of these candidates know each other, and they're kind of a little family that go through this process together. So every single one of my slate mates, like especially Brand New Congress, which is like what I will always identify as like one of the first organizations to really back me, and I'm so proud to be part of them. But like Paula Jean, I literally was screaming when she won her primary.
I was really happy for her.
Yeah.
And
Charles Booker, I'm gonna scream when he wins his.
I'm really hopeful for him. Well, let me ask you this then, bringing it back to you. Would you ever consider something local? Would you consider a city council? Would you consider mayor? Would you consider
Not mayor.
Not mayor? Fair enough. But
in any other place, mayor would probably be an easier run. But in New York,
understandable.
But
you could call Giuliani, ask him for advice.
Oh yeah.
You could.
Yeah, totally.
Could you imagine what that's like? You would like see Giuliani and he maybe he doesn't know who you are at all, and you're just like, so I'm a Democratic Socialist. I want to run for mayor. And when he hears that word Democratic Socialist, he just like freaks out. And then he's just like, I was mayor during 9/11, and he throws a bar stool and then just like collapses and runs out of the bar. And that's your entire interaction with him.
I think that's accurate. That's probably
you got to film that. That'll go viral.
Totally.
Giuliani freaks out.
Didn't he do some appearance? Oh no, he did SNL. Something about pro wrestling, I think I remember. Really? But I'm like imagining this.
Well, remember I think we were both like pretty young when this was the case, but there was a time where like everybody liked him.
Yeah, he just went around arresting homeless people, saying he was like cleaning up the streets.
Yeah, and people were like, cool, good job.
Yeah, until people realized like what he was doing and why like there were no more homeless people on the streets. Like people were like, oh, they must have homes. No, they're in prison and they're probably making your hand sanitizer. So it's just it's a cruel world. And we have a lot of work to do. I don't know what. Honestly, my team is very anxious to do something again. I know I need a lot more sleep before I really think about it. But I will say this is not my last race, and I'm not going anywhere. So we just have to figure out what is next.
All right. So it's going to be something, but it will be something in the electoral sphere.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
In some way, I'm not quite sure what it is. I know, like, I'm really anxious to get started on some of the collaboration and projects that I've talked with other activists about that'll continue to help my community. And lots of Animal Crossing, but also still lots of helping
You
my
really are, hopefully they're going to be a sponsor for your next campaign. Animal. I've never I've never played it before, but I've heard it's fun.
Don't start, because I will tell you, it's, I don't know what it is. It's kind of like a very large virtual Zen garden, but you can't really stop. You're like, I need to plant another garden right here. And if I sell
Well, and that helps you because you're planting a real garden. You're going to do a community garden. So this is like, this is your feel good activity to prep you to get your hands dirty, pun intended, right?
I see what you're doing there. See, Paul, this is a real experience.
Well, I mean, that's great. And yeah, I mean, I ask about the local question because that is something that I do feel, I just kind of look around and I'm like, okay, imagine if every city council had a Samozuwant on it. I mean, we'd have a different country. And I get a lot of emails from people running for office. And again, I applaud everybody's effort. I really do. I try to have on as many lefties as I can to try to help them out. But I really wish there was more. Hey, I'm running for city council. Hey, I'm running for mayor. Hey, I'm running for school board, as opposed to just, I'm running for Congress. I'm running for Senate. And I get it. I applaud it. But I'm just like, man, see, there's more accountability locally. There's way more accountability. And it's like, I'm not going to say there's not corruption in local politics. Of course there is, especially where you live and where I live, especially where both of us live.
Yeah.
Of course it happens. I'm not that naive. But it's like, you get a couple allies in there who will stand with the protesters when it happens, who will let people into City Hall when it's time.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to change a country. That really is, when you have one of those in every city,
Really. Yeah, I know, like for city council here in my city council district, I'm really excited. One of my friends is actually running to represent me, so I get to support her this time. Yeah.
So you're kind of building a coalition.
Yeah.
That's also a cool way to go.
Yeah, cool. I'm very excited.
Wait, if this coalition, if you get someone in every district, then I mean, the next step, I mean, this coalition's pretty big. You got to do mayor now.
Yeah, totally.
You got to do mayor. You have that moment with Giuliani. It goes viral. You're the next mayor. I think we have a plan.
Love it. I approve.
So I'll go here real quick. We're talking about strikes, and I wanted to share this on the show today. This is from Payday Report. It's a labor journal that's based in my hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Over 500 strikes have occurred in the last 3 weeks as Black Lives Matter strikes surge on Juneteenth. So it is growing, folks. It is growing. Here's a map, and you can go to their website, paydayreport.com, to see the strikes. Longshoremen, here's a summary of just some of the stuff that's going on. Longshoremen are going on strikes at 29 ports across the West Coast, which that can have a huge impact. If you cut off the logistic supply, oh man, the oligarchs aren't going to like it. Washington State General strikes. All workers go on wildcat strikes at over 250 locations across the state. In Pittsburgh, getting back to my hometown, now we covered this on the show when it happened. New skills activist, the Post-Gazette, is likely to strike for the first time in 1994. Now, what happened there is the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, which is the newspaper note in Pittsburgh, they were censoring police brutality coverage because the police union was asking them to. And there's been some backlash. One of the big grocery store chain in the city, which they actually do a lot of stuff I don't like, but in this, for instance, they did something kind of cool. They said, we're not selling your paper anymore. They're refusing to sell the newspaper.
Nice.
And now apparently there's going to be a strike that results over it. And we've had more than 540 strikes in the last 2.5 weeks. Folks, I'm here to tell you it's freaking time, and I will do my part as a communication vehicle. I will do my part as a I know that the strike doesn't apply to me, so I'm here to be the communication vehicle. And you see these, oh man, I'm having a total brain block to the word for it, but the mutual aid funds.
Yes.
Going on in communities. And I know that, do you have any experience with that? I know every district in New York has one. Every district in New York City pretty much has one. Do you have any familiarity or?
Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in one group in particular that's helping to get food to people who need it. So yeah, they're all over the city. There's grocery funds, there's rent funds, there's just, it's a beautiful thing to see people coming together and making sure that their neighbors have what they need because the government isn't there. And that's really, I know that like we're talking about on the streets versus electoral change. And that's why it really does take both. And we can't completely forget that because we're there for each other as people when the government isn't. But we still need to get those people out of office that have ignored our needs. And I know it's hard. I personally know it's very hard to oust an incumbent, but you keep trying and you keep voting and you request an absentee ballot, you request a mail-in ballot. Make sure your voice is heard and counted because it matters, especially when everyone else does the exact same thing.
I'm with you. And general strike.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. I want to actually, now that I have some more time, I would love to be more involved in helping that happen. And I know the most effective general strike would be one where we have really clear demands. And I really look forward to if you are somebody that knows of organizing around this, definitely DM me because I have nothing but time now.
Is Paul making dinner? What's Paul doing?
He is, yes. He's making coffee, and I think
nice. Yeah,
he's doing a French press and like getting the coffee grounds out. He doesn't know that we're talking about him, so.
I can hear it. It's like Paul's cooking. Paul's got this going on. He's like, my fact-checking duties are over for the stream. I'm gonna make.
I know. And then my cat. Actually, do you mind if I grab my cat? She's.
Of course not.
She's 16 years old. Every once in a while, if you hear like a honk, it's definitely her nose. I'll be right back with her.
You guys know how insanely pro cat we are on this show. Lucy's asleep on the couch, but I won't bother her. But yeah, now we got to talk. Oh, wow, that's a pretty cat. What's you said her, right? What's her name?
Yeah, Jean Louise.
Jean Louise.
She's either 15 or 16, and she has scar tissue in her nose, so she snores.
Aww.
So I know, like, on the Young Turks, you could hear her snoring and, like, snorting in the background, and I think she made a couple noise appearances on your show, too.
So Lucy just turned 14.
Aww.
And she'll occasionally just kind of jump up on a desk. It's a pretty common thing. These days, because she has so much energy, has your cat gotten a lot more energy as a result of quarantine?
She's always just, I don't understand. The vet is very impressed with her health. She's just always energetic and I don't get it.
What do you do?
I don't know. I mean, we take her on walks.
You take her on walks.
On a leash. I didn't teach her that. She's just kind of magical.
Lucy used to do that, and then she just didn't have any interest. She was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. But when she was younger, she would do it, but she still plays a lot. She just doesn't really have much interest in outside. But occasionally I've let her walk around on a leash, and she has liked it. So I'm going to try again. I mean, these days you got to be careful because cats can actually get it. But yeah, like cats are, I mean, dogs, I think they can't really, but cats can get it. But yeah, I try. She just gets unlimited playtime. So she has, like, she can do jumps that she couldn't do a couple years ago because she's lost weight as a result of all this. And like a healthy amount, like I'm monitoring it. Because at first I was like, oh man, what if this is like bad? But she's still eating a bunch. She's still totally like herself. So, you know, and I make sure it doesn't get like, she doesn't get too small or whatever, but it's like, oh, you just have all this playtime. So you lost a little bit of weight, which the vet has been wanting you to lose for a couple of years now. You've lost it. That's cool. And
good for you, cat.
Yeah. Do you brush your cat's teeth?
No, I've tried. It was very unsuccessful. So we actually put like a little supplement in their water. I guess it freshens it a little bit and fights
Okay.
tartar, but I'm sure it doesn't do the same as brushing.
I brush her teeth now because, like, she's getting older, and the vet recommended like a dental extensive thing, but I was like, I'm not, to me it's like once a cat is a teenager, you do not put them under unless it is something that is life dependent,
Yes.
because there's that chance that they don't wake up, and
Totally.
yeah, and it's like I'm not gonna risk putting my cat under first to just like get rid of some tartar easier. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'll just brush her teeth. And so once a week we brush her. It's her favorite thing. It's
Really?
no, she hates it. Oh God. She hates it so much.
I was like, you're gonna have to teach me your ways. I
No,
even tried like the chicken flavored toothpaste, and she was like,
oh yeah.
"How are you?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're like, well, let them lick the toothpaste, and they'll just like, no, that doesn't help. I'm just like, here, and she's just like, yeah, I'm not. How dumb do you think I am? I've been around the block a few times. I don't want that dumb thing in my mouth.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah, she's just like, no, I'm not. Now when she sees, I have one of those little like finger things. That was a weird gesture to make. Someone's gonna make a meme of that
I
later.
know what you're talking
But I
about.
have, I have a cat toothbrush on the finger, and she like now as soon as she sees it, she doesn't even run away. She just sort of like walks away. Like she's just like, I know you're gonna make me do this, and then I get a treat after. But fuck you. Like that's sort of like, she's like, I'm not gonna bother hiding. Like, I'm just not. We don't have to play this game. But this sucks. I don't know why you do this. You tell me it helps me. I guess I believe you. But this is, come on. And then we just go through it, and she gets a treat.
That's a good
I
reward.
don't.
Well,
It's not fun for me.
if I got ice cream or something for every time I brushed my teeth, I would be incredibly happy.
Right?
So, yes.
That's what I'm thinking. It's just like, oh, you get brushed and you get a treat. You get your teeth brushed and you get a treat. It's who owns who, right? Come on.
Cats clearly own their humans. It's something I've accepted a long time ago, and yeah, I have no say really.
She calls the shots. I just pay the rent, That's
Yeah.
that's shout out to Mitch. Mitch, thank you very much for the super chat contribution. I appreciate that very much. And Mitch says, I can't find this stream on my browser on YouTube, so I'm watching on my phone right now. Well, welcome, Mitch. Glad you're tuning in on your phone. Weird. Got your cancellation email on your tour with Graham. I know, we're so sad. So this is a makeup for the lost income. Thank you very much, Mitch. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Also, love you, Lauren. You got this next time. Now, Lauren, I don't know what this means. I'm guessing this is directed to you, but I'm not sure what this question means. Thought on Siraj? Do you know what that means?
Oh yeah. Thoughts on Siraj? He was one of my opponents.
Okay.
It's still a really tight race between him and the incumbent. I was running against both of them, and personally had a lot of debates with Siraj, and I encourage people to still watch it. The Empire State Indivisible debate. We got into a little bit of an argument around he's pushing for Medicare for kids instead of Medicare for all, or like as a compromise or a step in the right direction. And I'm just like, what are you You're not even in Congress, and you're
Hear me out.
Yeah.
Biden said he'll lower the age to 60.
Great.
I'm going to give it to kids. And then really, I mean,
screw everyone between the age of 19 and 59.
They never get sick, do they? Does that happen? We'll do a GoFundMe or something if that happens.
Exactly. I can't. I don't know like, in what world you're not even in Congress yet, but you're already acting like them. So
well, yeah. And why do we always, and this is by design, you start from a point of compromise. Like, hey, Medicare for all. Well, the Republicans they might not like that. So let's how about Medicare for everyone whose last name begins from the letter L to Q. We'll start there, And then the Republicans are like, no. And we're like, well, okay, we tried. This is how it works. We gotta start from this weak position, so then you get absolutely nothing.
That's why we lose. It's why we lose all
One
the
of
time.
the many reasons why
Yeah,
we
that's
lose.
true. No, but the thing is, like, Republicans are just like, here's some straight out fascism on a plate. And they're not thinking about how can we water this down with like some liberal ideals so that it's palatable for the left. No, they don't care. And that's why we have like a rapist on the Supreme Court. It's why we have like my bodily autonomy is on the chopping block every single day.
Oh.
They don't
And
care.
that's why we have 2 alleged rapists running for president.
Great. Yes.
That's why it's just Maleke videos. Yeah, thank you very much for the super chat contribution. Flashbangs are used so often and not seen as a problem. Comrades here are loud noise now and panic. Protests are physically and mentally taxing. I'm with you. I mean, I understand protests. I understand a general strike is not easy, and I also understand that the system is set up so that people can't do it. It's set up so it's like you want everybody living paycheck to paycheck, so they can't fathom the idea of saying, I'm not going to do this anymore, because they might not be able to get groceries next month. They might. I get all that, and I hear you, and I get it. It's by design, but we really need to come together as a country and say it's enough's enough, and we need to kind of lean on each other via the form of extensive mutual aid across the country to make sure this is something that can be done, because our elected officials, they've abandoned us. We've seen this with the pandemic. They don't want to help us. It's not a concern. So we're on our own, and we got to start. A general strike's the only way we're going to start breaking through this and getting out of this mess. And then the other fix is just one community at a time. One community garden at a time.
Yes.
There we
Absolutely. No, but we really, really do need a general strike. And we saw that all of the protesting against police brutality has already made a huge difference. And that's exactly what it is. People out in the streets saying that enough is exactly how we can actually get stuff done.
So where can people go to learn more about you?
Well, I still do have my old website, laurenashcraft.com. And
that's evergreen. You know, so you were smart. You just made it your .com. You didn't put like 2020 in there or like a 4. You know, you just kept it. My name is all I need. laurenashcraft.com, because this is going to be. Totally. It can be a community garden resource.
Yes, and I'm still on social media. Taking a little bit of a break, like not posting too much, but usually I'm pretty snarky on there. So if you like snark, find me at Vote Ashcraft.
Vote Ashcraft on Twitter, laurenashcraft.com. I look forward to what you're due next, and I really look forward to it, and I'm excited for you, and I'm looking forward to crossing paths, which unfortunately won't be happening in September.
Yeah.
We were hoping you were supposed to be on our show in New York.
I know.
But we are going to reschedule. We're rescheduling the entire tour for 2021. It was just so exhausting, like 1 month at a time, being like as live performance possible. So like at this point, because I don't know, let me ask you, this will be the last question. But when do you think live comedy is going to be back in New York City?
I really don't know. I think we're in phase 2 right now for reopening stuff up. But then again, we're
going backwards.
Exactly. Yeah. We're seeing surges of coronavirus in pockets across the entire country. And they're going to fucking come here and want to see Times Square. So I'm a little pissed about it. And that's why we need, whenever I talk about like the need for federal leadership, right now we have a president that doesn't seem to care at all that whenever he has in-person rallies, probably he's accepting that some of them will die as a result.
Didn't people, I think some people already tested positive from the Oklahoma thing. Yeah, wow. I think so.
It's not unexpected. They're going in there without masks because politics, and they're shaking hands.
Isn't that incredible?
It's incredible.
I'm not going to put on this mask. Look, you can put this country under martial law. I won't ask questions, but I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah. My whole thing is like if they lived on an island and they accepted that, you know, they wouldn't go to the hospital, they would just kind of deal with it. Like that's one thing. But nurses and doctors, physicians assistants, and everyone that's going to have to take care of you when you get the pandemic that we kind of had control over, and then you decided you want to go to a Trump rally and get sick and then spread it to 5 other people. Like, this is the path that we're going down again. And
it's a lot of other institutions that are at fault too, though, because I mean, people were reopening way too early. I mean, you know, for us personally, in regards to, you know, the comedy tour and just like, how do we navigate this year? The icing on the cake for me, and Graham kind of felt the same way because we talked on the phone and made the verdict, was, you know, we were supposed to be in Nashville on June 20th. And Nashville, I mean, I used to live there. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. It was, you know, it was heartbreaking to not be able to go and do that show. You know, it was a big bummer, but and we still could have gone because they, you know, Tennessee reopened and the club was, you know, Zanies is a pretty big club. So even, you know, they were operating at 50% capacity. Even that would have been, you know, enough that, you know, everyone that probably would have wanted to see us would have been able to, because it's still a decent amount of people that could have been there. But we just did not feel it was safe yet. And we said, no, you know, we're not gonna do the show. We're gonna postpone. And then what ended up happening on that same day was it was when D.L. Hughley collapsed on stage and tested positive for COVID.
Oh yeah.
We would have been at that club earlier that day because we were doing a matinee show.
Yeah.
So we would have been on that same stage earlier that day, the weekend he was there.
Wow.
We would have been there. And you know, it's like I was talking to Graham and it's just like we might still be in Tennessee right now. You know, like quarantined. We'd have to be in separate hotel rooms or something, you know, because we were exposed. We might have gotten it. And it's just like, and I mean, we weren't even going to consider doing it. Like it was an immediate no, like we're not doing this even way before then. But it's just, you still kind of have that what if, like, well, what if? And so, you know, what if down the road, you know, there's more, you know, research out there that it is safer. And we're like, well, I guess we can still. And then it's just, they reopened too soon. And now we're paying for it.
It is that concentration on profit over people, though.
Yeah, like that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, without having like a responsible plan of action, it's like our leaders are accepting that a certain percentage of people will just die. Because, yeah, and
they've said it. That guy from Texas just said it. He was just like, which talk about a shitty gift giver, by the way. Like, I'm willing to die, Zoomers, so that you can have the capitalistic system that I love. And the Zoomers are just standing there like, can we exchange this for some socialism?
Yeah.
We got this rugged neoliberalism from Dan Patrick. We want to exchange this. We want to get... What a shitty gift. This guy's really out of touch.
Like, I'm really fine not going to Walmart for a couple more months. That's fine. Or ever.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah, it's pretty. I am going to die so that you cannot afford college, Timmy. I love you.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for doing the show today. Thank you, Maleke Videos. Yeah, I'm probably mispronouncing that. I'm sorry. And Mitch Osborne for your super chat contributions. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. You keep Get Your News On with Ron on the air. Check out Lauren at laurenashcraft.com and at Vote Ashcraft on Twitter. Lauren, thanks so much for joining me today. I can't wait to see what you do next. And we'll be back on Monday. The next Get Your News On with Ron will be on Monday for another Music Monday. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy, she says meow. And what's your cat's name again?
Jean Louise.
Jean Louise also says meow. And both Lauren and I say peace. Peace.